Halil Firat is a man driven by revenge. He went through so much pain as a child. The memory of his past never left him. It still follows him, like a shadow he can't escape. As a young boy, Halil lived a simple but happy life with his family. His father, mother, and older sister. But everything changed one night. His father was suddenly arrested at their home, accused of stealing a precious bracelet that belonged to his boss. Desperate to save him, Halil's mother went to the house of the boss, begging for help to prove her husband's innocence. But instead of mercy, she was thrown out, humiliated and pushed to the ground. Halil saw it all. He ran to his mother, who was desperately crying in pain. When he asked who pushed her away, she cried out two names: Mrs. Aslanli, the wife of the boss, and their daughter Zeynep. Tragically, his mother later died of a heart attack. His father didn't survive much longer in prison either. Those moments shattered Halil, and the people who ruined his family were carved into his memory forever. Now he is back, no longer the poor, broken boy from the past. He is now a powerful and wealthy businessman. But he didn't come back for peace. He came for revenge. His target, the man who destroyed his family, his father's former boss, Omar Aslanli. But Halil is too late. Omar has already died from a heart attack. Still, that didn't stop Halil. His revenge was far from over. On his first day back in town, Halil nearly crashed into a young woman riding a tractor. Frustrated, he stepped out of his car, ready to explode in anger. But the young woman didn't back down either. She got off her tractor and walked straight up to him. He was about to argue, until she pulled down the scarf covering half of her face. She scolded him without fear, and Halil couldn't say a word. He was completely caught off guard, because her beauty had left him speechless. Later that same day, while Halil was in town, he spotted the same young woman from earlier. Just before hopping onto her motorbike, she accidentally dropped her wallet. Halil saw it and picked it up. He then followed her with his car. But while on the road, the unexpected happened. The woman got into an accident. Without a second thought, Halil rushed to help her. She didn't want his help, thinking he caused the accident. But he insisted. She can barely walk in pain, so she gave in to him. He also took the chance to return her wallet. He offered to take her to the hospital, but she insisted it wasn't necessary. So instead, he offered to drive her home. But nothing could prepare him for what came next. The moment she pointed to her house, his heart skipped a beat. The Aslanli mansion. Halil was stunned. How could someone like her be part of that family? Because she could barely walk, Halil carried her in his arms. Then, as they reached the front steps, a woman came out of the house. She called out her daughter's name. Zeynep. Halil froze. His world stopped. Zeynep. He turned cold in an instant, leaving Zeynep lost and confused. Now Halil stood face to face with the woman he believed had ruined his family. The same woman who had thrown his mother out in the past. But he kept it all in. Mrs. Aslanli was grateful to Halil for helping Zeynep after the accident. She welcomed him kindly, unaware of who he really was or the storm brewing inside him. Now that they were properly acquainted, Mrs. Aslanli warmly invited him to a special occasion. Her eldest daughter's engagement party. Halil didn't turn down the invitation. He arrived at the engagement party, calm and collected. Then Zeynep stepped out of the house. She looked absolutely stunning. Halil couldn't look away. As she walked through the crowd, time seemed to slow down. He watched her, completely drawn in. Zeynep might not have noticed his stare, but her grandmother did. With a knowing smile, she teased Zeynep about the handsome guest. Zeynep just brushed it off, pretending not to care. But still, they exchanged a few quiet glances. And in those fleeting moments, something unspoken passed between them. Though Halil was clearly drawn to Zeynep, he started acting cold. He treated her coldly, a complete change from how warm he was the day they met. Zeynep was confused. She couldn't understand why he suddenly went cold and distant. Until Halil dropped a bombshell. In front of everyone, he made a surprise announcement. He had bought everything the Aslanli family owned. The farmlands, the factory, even the mansion. And then came the final blow. They had just one day to leave the house. The place fell silent. Zeynep and her family were completely stunned. Overnight, the Aslanli family lost everything. All that their late father had built, gone in a flash. Even her sister's engagement fell apart after the scandal. With their world in ruins, someone had to step up. After their father's death, that someone was Zeynep. She took charge of the family, hiding her pain behind quiet strength. Now, she faces the greatest challenge of her life: to rebuild what was lost and become the breadwinner of the Aslanli family. Zeynep did everything she could to get their properties back. But nothing worked. With nowhere else to turn, she made a bold and dangerous move. She stormed back to the mansion to confront Halil, shotgun in hand, and pointed it straight at him. He stood there, calm, unflinching. He dared her to pull the trigger. To his shock, she did. The shot only grazed the side of his arm, but the message was clear. And Halil didn't let it slide. He had her locked up. For the first time, Zeynep truly feared for her life. And when he stared at her, cold, silent, and intense, she realized something terrifying. This man could do whatever he wanted with her. He held power, and now that power was over her. Halil handed Zeynep over to the police and filed a case against her. With no money for bail, she was on the verge of rotting in jail. But then, Halil made her an offer. He would drop the charges and let her family return to the mansion. On one condition: Zeynep and her entire family would move into a small house behind the mansion. And from that day on, they would live there as servants. It was a bitter pill to swallow for a family once known for its name and status. But they had nothing left. No power, no pride, no choice. Zeynep had to painfully agree. Zeynep, once a promising agriculture engineer and noble daughter, had become a maidservant. But hard labor didn't scare her. Unlike her mother and sisters, she never liked sitting still. She preferred the fields over the comfort of home. Still, it hurt to see her family living as servants. She blamed herself for the position they were in, so she pushed herself harder than anyone else, doing all she could to make up for her mistake, hoping that someday she could free her family from this humiliation. Zeynep hated the idea of serving the very man who took everything from her family. But she swallowed her pride and did her duties as a maid. While she burned with quiet anger, Halil was secretly enjoying every moment. Every time she walked into the room, he lit up, though he would never show it. Instead, he played cold, distant, sarcastic, but completely captivated by her. Halil would find every excuse to call for her, insisting that she be the one to serve him just so he could see her. Zeynep was totally clueless. She thought he was just cruel. But the truth? Halil was a man who folded every time, just by the sight of her. Zeynep wasn't just smart and hardworking. She was beautiful with striking blue eyes. But beyond that, she was kind, warm, and deeply compassionate. Everyone in town admired her. They spoke highly of her character, something Halil found hard to believe. After all, he had spent years hating her name, even though he had never truly met her before. And as their lives continued to intertwine, Halil's quiet admiration slowly turned into something deeper, something undeniable. Love. But with every glance, every moment shared, his heart grew heavier. Because the woman he was falling for was the same woman tied to the pain of his past. Now, Halil is torn between two powerful forces: his burning desire for revenge, or the love he never meant to feel. He came to destroy her world, but she just might change his heart. Watch how love and vengeance collide in a story that will shake everything they thought they knew.